Okay. I'm gonna finish up on the Brett Kavanaugh story tonight, or this morning, if I may. It's almost 2 a.m. Um, quick recap, and I will put the last video down below. Justice Kennedy sent the president a letter requesting his retirement, which is standard. And when that happens, the president finds a suitable replacement. In this case, President Trump is in that massive list, 2 dozen people on it, and he selected Brett Kavanaugh. Now, what has to happen is they have to go before the Senate Judiciary Committee, which is 10 members of the minority party and 11 members of the majority party, and they ask them questions, blah blah blah, and 11 or more votes yes equals continue, less than 11 votes equals don't continue. And after that, they have to have the full Senate vote, majority voting, to have a 30-hour debate. Then after the 30-hour debate, they vote a third time, and that vote is majority, he gets in. He has to swear 2 oaths. There's like 1 oath to the Constitution, blah blah blah, but he has to swear 2 oaths. And as tradition, he was sworn in by the man he was replacing. Now, Justice Scalia had passed away, so he could not swear in Justice Gorsuch. Justice Gorsuch was instead sworn in by Justice Kennedy, who he clerked for. And Justice Kennedy, also having Justice Kavanaugh as his clerk back in the day, and also Kavanaugh succeeding him, he would swear him in. Now, I talked about this before. The minute they began the hearing in the Judiciary Committee, as Chairman Grassley was introducing him, "Good morning, Judge. Welcome to our hearing today. We're so glad you could be here." Every member of the Democratic side spent 90 minutes screaming at the top of their lungs. They wouldn't even allow him to say hello. And it was all a lot of nonsense about we need more documents, we need more pages. Kamala Harris wanted 6 million pages of document, even though she had no intention of reading a single letter, and was going to vote. They all said they were going to vote no anyway. In fact, all 10 Democrats held rallies a week earlier, ranting, raving like lunatics, they were going to say no. Then, for 30 plus hours over a week period, Republicans asked sensible questions, and Democrats just shouting with insults. They were talking about, you hate women, you hate blacks, you want to repeal the 15th Amendment, you want to repeal Civil Rights Act, you're a democracy, you're evil. Okay, his mother was reduced to tears, and his daughters were removed physically because they were in danger of the animals in the back gallery. Then what happened was the media got a hold of a document accusing him of an attempted rape. Now, there were 4 people that had this document: the accuser's attorney, accuser's congresswoman, and Dianne Feinstein. Of those 4, Dianne Feinstein is the most evil, and I believe she was the one that sent the document to the press. In fact, I believe she's the one that made the story up. And that was held off until after the confirmation hearing was over, and then released to the press with the intention of hurting his family, with the intention of throwing threats to him, besmirching, all this other bullshit. And now the conversation is, rather than have the vote to go forward, we have to have more hearings now. And the Democrats demanded an investigation. Now, what Dianne Feinstein was required to do was, the minute she got the allegation in her hand, or the minute she made it up, whichever you believe, she was supposed to bring it to the Republicans, and they were supposed to launch an investigation, either with the Montgomery County Sheriff's Office, or the Maryland State Police, or the FBI, and the police will always keep things private. The only time the police go to the media is when they have a missing person, or when they have a suspect description, like a serial killer, and they want to identify the suspect in the description. Aside from that, they never talk to the media, because the media goes out of its way to bother the police. That's the first thing. The second thing is, if a case has to go to trial and the defendant wants a jury, the judge has to find 12 people in the community that don't know anything about the case. So if the case is in the newspaper every day, that's a problem. But what they were supposed to do was supposed to have this investigation privately, undercover, interviews, professionalism, blah blah blah. They didn't do that. They waited until after the confirmation hearing to release it to the press to cause a problem. And so the Republicans agreed to have a meeting, a hearing. The woman did not want to fly in because she's afraid of flying. I'll fly on Monday, I'll fly on Tuesday, I'll do it Thursday. And they had a hearing with this woman on Thursday. And the Republicans elected to have a prosecutor, female, who specialized in sex abuse cases, to try to be as bipartisan and direct as possible without being too political. And right away, she said she's afraid to fly, but based on her questioning, she's flown to places you can't find on a map. She's flown everywhere, multiple times. So that was a lie. They said, were you aware that we agreed to have people fly out to California and interview in private? No, I wasn't aware of that, so I don't know. But she basically said that in June of 1982, she's at a party, she's 15, two boys who were 17, throw her in a room, wrestle her onto a bed. She thought it was an attempted rape. She got free when they fell or some shit. And she named 4 people. Well, she named 5 people. Her assailant, her assailant's accomplice, 2 other people, and her best friend. The assailant, the future Justice Kavanaugh, denied it entirely. His best friend said, I wasn't at the party that night. The 2 other people said, we never saw anything like this happen before. And her own best friend said, we never even met the future judge. All those statements were made in writing to the FBI, to the Senate rather, signed. And when you send a letter to the United States Senate signed, you are testifying under penalty of perjury. Even though you're not in court, even though you're mailing it in, that is a perjury. That is a sworn statement you're making. So basically, either she's committing perjury by saying the judge attacked her, or these 4 or 5 people are committing perjury by saying it didn't happen. Someone's lying. He came in and he made a very, very passionate opening statement for 44 minutes. I watched it last Saturday when I was cleaning my room. I watched it on YouTube. I'll put the link down below. And he actually saved his calendars. Yeah, really creepy, right? And he actually has his 1982 calendar, swear to God. And he said all 3 weekends, the 4 weekends in June of 82, 3 he's out of town, 1 he's at a golf tournament with his father. So he had a rock solid alibi from the assault. And the next day, I mean, they were like shouting insults at him and berating him, and Dianne Feinstein was insulted by his temper. Dianne Feinstein went out of her way to hurt his family, personally. Dianne Feinstein abused his children, but she doesn't like his attitude. And I actually said of Dianne Feinstein, she sounds like Hitler complaining that the Jews coughed in the gas chamber. That's what she sounds like. Like, I caused all this pain for you, but now I'm offended by your attitude. That's how disgusting Dianne Feinstein is. So, the next day, they're gonna have the vote to bring him to the full Senate, and Cory Booker was like, we have to subpoena his best friend, Mark Judge, his name is. Mark Judge, the judge's best friend is named Judge, but Mark Judge battled depression, alcoholism, and cancer. So he's not exactly healthy. And they wanted to have him come in because A, it would delay it again, and traveling back and forth, but also They wanted to have a spectacle. They wanted to have him in the chair while they were yelling at him, screaming at him, pointing at him, blah, 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 blah. But also, they wanted to have these witnesses come in person because they want to impeach them, basically. Which means they gave the Senate a sworn statement saying this, this, and this. They want to get them in the room personally to berate them, to contradict their statement. Because if you give the Senate a sworn statement saying one thing, and then you come in person and speak another thing, you've delivered two statements under penalty of perjury. One is one way, one is the other way. You're lying somewhere. So once again, they wanted to delay the vote, plus they wanted to have a spectacle and have people screaming and yelling and pointing and shouting and all the bullshit. So he wasn't buying that bullshit. All 10 Democrats said no. All 11 Republicans said yes, with Flake saying yes only if we delay it for a week for an investigation. Then the investigation happens. Nothing. They can't find anything. In fact, one senator, the woman, not Harris, the white woman, said the FBI can do an investigation and the FBI can go to the house and check where the bed was. Is the bed where she said it was? Is the cabinet where she said it was? The table? Okay. First and foremost, you have to prove the house exists. Then you have to find the house. Then you have to ask the owner of the house for permission to come in, because you're not getting a search warrant. Then you have to understand that in the past 36 years and 3 months, odds are the furniture was either rearranged or replaced. Okay, so this is fucking ridiculous. And then the senators were like, okay, the senators actually called the sheriff in Montgomery County and said, we want to press charges against Brett Kavanaugh for assault. Okay, you can't do that. She has to come in and do it. You can't do it for her. Because when the police hear a complaint, the victim has to complain in person. And if the victim is a child, the parent can sign the complaint, but the child needs to give testimony to the police. Now, if you are dead, if you're murdered, your dead body is the complaining witness, okay? The dead body is the complaining witness, and the forensic scientist and all that other shit, the medical examiner, all that stuff, that is the testimony. So it will literally be a murder complaint in the name of the dead body, and the testimony is the forensic scientist, okay? But if the victim is still alive, the victim has to complain himself. And the sheriff also said, we have to follow the 1982 law. And on 1982 record books, this is a misdemeanor, not a felony. We've changed over time, but under 82 law, this is a misdemeanor. And also, statute of limitations, 1 year. So the case can't go forward. And then they finally got the vote in the Senate, and they all voted along party lines with almost like one exception on each side to have the 30-hour debate. Then they voted again to confirm him. Now, the other complaint was that he showed his dick at a party one time, and that is also contradicted. The other complaint is that a woman who was in college went to 9 consecutive high school parties. Now, college girls only go to high school parties if the party is hosted by their brother or some shit. It's the rarest thing in the world to see a college girl at a high school party, unless it's their brother. Fact. This college girl went to 9 consecutive high school parties where Brett Kavanaugh spiked the punch, and while the girls were incapacitated, he led his gang in gang raping them, like his group of thugs. And she saw 9 consecutive parties where Brett Kavanaugh led a gang rape. And at the 10th party, she was raped, and then she stopped going. But she also didn't report until 30 years later when he was running for the Supreme Court. He was being nominated for the Supreme Court. And it's just a lot of fucking hoo-ha. I mean, Dr. Ford said, when I told my congresswoman when I found out he was on the short list for being on the court, Then I came forward and agreed to testify when I was a nominee. I'm like, huh? She also said I have 2 doors in my house because I feel safer that way. And then they said no, the second door is for her an office that she rents out for someone. Like, you have a house and you section off a part of your house, either rent out to somebody for a store, yeah, like that. Okay, now here's the problem. Martha Stewart got a call about her stock being devalued, and she sold it. That's called insider trading. The FBI came to her, she told one lie. Because of that, she spent several months in federal prison, and even though it was a country club prison, even though she was doing arts and crafts there, she's still a convicted felon. There was a shooting outside of Hot 97 radio station. Because the shooting was gang related, the feds came in and declared RICO. Lil' Kim, the rapper, went to court and was asked, "Do you know this man?" No. And they showed a picture of her on the couch with him. That was a better part of a year in federal prison. Mark Furman was asked, in the past 10 years, did you say the word? No, I did not say the word. And they had a tape recorder of him saying the word 9.5 years earlier. He didn't go to prison, but he was a convicted felon, and he lost his pension for the LAPD. So there are guys that have been convicted of a felony for saying the wrong word. Okay? She has so many inconsistencies in her story, it was unbelievable. And in fact, the prosecutor they hired to interview her said that she talked to Republicans because Democrats didn't want to hear from her. But that woman said, I couldn't even get a search warrant based on this testimony, let alone a conviction or an indictment. Okay, it's impossible. And yesterday at the hearing, at the final confirmation vote, Chuck Schumer, based on his attitude, Chuck Schumer still believes, even though all the allegations have been disproved, Chuck Schumer still believes that all of them are true, including the gang rapes. Now, there are people that will lie, and I say lie, they'll tell you a story about yourself, okay? They'll walk right up to you, and with a straight face, they will tell you a story about yourself that you know is false. And have all sorts of details. I came to your house and told you this. No, you didn't. Or you came to that party drunk and punched me in the face. No, I didn't. They will tell you a story about yourself that you know is a lie, and they'll tell it with a straight face. That is a serious mental problem. I've seen it a couple times in my life, and it is scary. Like, I've seen people tell me stories about myself that I know are false. And it scared the shit out of me. One of them was my wrongful accuser when I was accused of sexual harassment. And and I've heard people say this is only a job interview. Relax, okay? It's not. You don't need to be beyond reasonable doubt. This is not a trial. It's a job interview, okay? Well, slander, libel, and defamation of character are never allowed in job interviews. Period. Okay? The person giving you the job interview is not allowed to take a false allegation of assault and give it to the press, knowing the press is going to hurt your family. Okay? Threatening to murder your children is not acceptable behavior at a job interview. Okay? Terrorizing your family is not acceptable at a job interview. Okay? Calling someone racist and rapist and all these fucking dirty words is not okay at a job interview. Okay? And you have, like, once again, it's not true anyway. Okay? They say you don't need to prove it beyond a reasonable doubt. Well, you can't prove it at all. It's already been disproven. And even after it's been disproven, there are still people running around saying it's true. Because those people don't want to fucking accept facts. They don't want to accept facts. And one of the people that is on that side of the fence is a woman named Morgan McCall. Morgan McCall is about 20 years old. She was one of the Nassar victims. Okay? She blocked me on social media. She doesn't like me, but anyway, I was looking at some social media things. Morgan McCall is calling Justice Kavanaugh a serial predator. Now, I'm terribly sorry that Morgan McCall was a victim of sexual abuse. That's horrible. Okay? But at the same token, she needs to understand that there is such thing as innocent until proven guilty. And even though she was a victim of abuse, does not mean someone else was. Okay? That's the issue. Okay? We have forgotten ourselves. You had probably half, let's call it half, minus 1 or 2, sitting United States senators that were leading a lynch mob. They renounced the Constitution and they said it's up to the accused to prove himself innocent, or they continue calling the accused guilty even after he was proven not guilty, and they continue on with this harangue about racism and sexism and misogyny and anti-Semitism and all that other bullshit. Just imagine this. Imagine if you go to court and you tell the judge you're not guilty, and you ask for a jury, and all 12 jurors get up and say not guilty, and the prosecutor says, "Well, I didn't like that outcome. I'm gonna get a different trial." Imagine how horrible that would be. Direct violation of the Constitution, by the way. Or imagine if you went to the trial and the judge said, and the jury said, not guilty. Unanimous jury, not guilty. And the judge said, "Well, I don't agree with that, so I'm going to put you in prison anyway." That is what this could lead to. Okay? When you have government officials who have completely ignored the Constitution and labeled a federal judge as a gang rapist, and even after the evidence came forward and proved him not guilty, they continued to call him a gang rapist for political vengeance. And I said it before in the last video I'll put down below, and I'm saying it again now. Look at me very carefully. If sitting United States senators are willing to do this to a federal judge, if they're willing to lie, cheat, steal, plant evidence, commit perjury against a federal judge, and if they're willing to hurt the family of a federal judge, a sitting federal judge, what's going to stop them when they come for you? Because don't think it won't happen to you. This is very Kafkaesque. This is very Orwellian. They can come for you too. Think about that.